This video is going to show you how to use Adobe Animate to visualize the things that you're programming. And I'm going to teach you a little bit about how the grid system works in this video, as well as explain a little bit about what's called translation. So I'm going to open up ActionScript 3.0 file. Honestly, I think Adobe Animate is probably the easiest way to draw out what it is that you want to make before you actually program it, because it works so similar to how the canvas works. So I'm going to go to View and bring my rulers up, and let's just talk a little bit about the canvas itself. The canvas is basically a big grid system, almost like a checkerboard or graph paper. Every single pixel on this stage or canvas is just a box, and each of those boxes have some numbers associated with them. They have an X coordinate and a Y coordinate. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit, and let's just take a look at the numbers here. If you look up at the top, left to right is the X coordinate, and for us, the point of origin for the canvas, or the place where the numbers start, is the top left hand corner. The top left is 0, and it goes all the way out on this particular canvas to 550. So there are 550 pixels from the left to the right. On the Y coordinate, 0 is at the top, and if you look over here, you can see that the height is 400. So this canvas has from 0 all the way down to 400, and just to show you that I'm not making it up, if you look over here, 400 lines right up with the bottom. So every single pixel is going to have two numbers associated with it, an X coordinate and a Y coordinate. So if something was at 100 on the X and 100 on the Y, it would be approximately here where my cursor is going. Actually, I'll just show you. Let me take this text, I'll tell it to go to 100 on the X and 100 on the Y, and it goes, the top left hand corner of this text box goes to 100 on the X and 100 on the Y. So that would be where it is on the X coordinate, and this would be where it is on the Y coordinate. And you can see that it does in fact line up at 100, 100. So you're going to be drawing a lot of shapes on this canvas, not in Adobe Animate, but you'll be programming them. But since they work so similarly, I'm going to show you how some of these things are going to play out for you. So for us, when we make a rectangle on the canvas, you notice that I started drawing from the top left. That's exactly how this works on our canvas in HTML. So again, let me draw that out. If I draw it out, it'll draw from the top left. We are going to do a couple of things to these in our program. We are going to give them an X coordinate, so I'll put this at 100, 100. And then we're going to give them a Y coordinate, so that would be 100. Then we give it a width, and then we give it a height. So this is the X and Y coordinate. Then we give it a width, and it draws the rectangle out that far. And then we give it a height, and it draws it out that far. Almost like what you do when you click and drag. So you click in one spot, and you drag down, and it draws your rectangle. That's great for us. But unfortunately, it's cool for drawing things, but it's not fantastic for video games. In our video games, we're actually going to want the X and Y coordinate to not be the top left of the rectangle, but to be in the center of this rectangle. Now this is kind of a weird concept, so I'm going to try to demonstrate it as best I can using Adobe Animate. When we create an object on the canvas, it's almost like when we create a new symbol in Adobe Animate. I'm going to give this a name, I'll call it box. I'm going to hit OK, and let me go back to scene 1, And if I put that box on here, you'll notice there's nothing there. There's no picture. I didn't draw anything on it. All there is a little plus sign with a circle in it. Now the circle is for rotating. That is the pivot point of the object. We're not really going to need that so much. What we really need to concern ourselves with is that little crosshair. That crosshair is where the x and y coordinate of this object is. So if I put it at 0, 0, it goes up here. If I put it at 100, 100 on the x and y coordinate, it goes there. So that little crosshair really is the thing that determines where we're placing stuff. As you know from Adobe Animate, if you double click that movie clip, you can draw shapes in there. Okay. Now normally, if I draw a shape here, for example, the x and y coordinate is here, but the shape is over here. So if I put this at 0, 0, the x and y of the movie clip, the entire movie clip, went up to the top left, but the box isn't in the top left because I didn't draw it in the right spot relative to that registration point. So when we make things, we're going to have to do a little bit of playing around. And we do that through something called translation, which I will show you in the very next video.